William Saliba put in another outstanding display away from home when it mattered so much. What a player we have. And do you know what? This is one of those, young players, signings you get quite early on that fans really kind of get excited about. And the excitement was true. Like everything we had every right to be as excited as we are and have been about William Saliba, because when you look at what he's done the last 2 seasons, I know that a lot of change happened at Arsenal, but since he came into this back four and we got White at right back and we partnered with Gabriel, Arsenal have competed for Premier League titles. William Saliba has never been a part of an Arsenal team that hasn't competed for the Premier League title. And then when we lost him, things fell apart last season, as there were other factors too, don't get me wrong, but he's just been so important. And in this video I want to talk about another great performance against Man United, and actually ask the question whether he's world class. And I'm not doing it to sort of run away with another good performance and we're just going to label everyone world class because we're competing for Premier League trophies. It's not about that. I think it's more about not appreciating players in the moment when we have this opportunity. Let's go through the video and explain what I mean. I've got the definition of world class in front of me. When I looked through Google, this was one of them I found. It's someone or something world class is one of the best that there are in that, one of the best that there are of that type in the world. So the question is William Saliba one of the best defenders, centre-backs in the world? I've always said, like, very candidly on this channel to you all, that I'm a casual really when it comes to things outside the Premier League. I think he's undoubtedly one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. And then if you're putting him up against, I don't know, I'm just saying names, right? But De Ligt, Araujo, Militao, whoever it might, I don't know who you might put forward. I'm just saying things, right? Outside the Premier League, I don't know. But I'm inclined to think that from what I'm seeing, I've watched enough football to kind of, judge a decent level of a footballer. William Saliba looks to me an utter class act who, quite frankly, could play and could start in any team in the world. I actually do believe that. I do believe he could start for absolutely anyone. There's really good conversation around William Saliba on, like, Football Culture Movement, for example, FCM podcast on DR Sports, where they're saying, like, who doesn't take Saliba? And crucially, who's not looking for a William Saliba? A player who is incredibly athletic, strong, tall, very quick, brilliant on the ball. How many times is there not a pass on and he decides to tuck the ball in closer to him and then drive into a space and see if the attacker, who's not going to be as quick, not going to be as strong, see if they're capable of nicking the ball off him? And almost every time the answer is no. How many mistakes does he make? How dependable is he? And how good is he when you're talking about a player who can play in a really high line, high press that can help you suffocate teams and can drop deep and do what we have to do at Tottenham, do what we have to do at Man United, which is win aerial duels and dominate his penalty area and tight spaces and get into a low block and protect a narrow lead. He can do all of it. So what team in the world wouldn't want a William Saliba? That's one way of looking at it. But I think there's other ways of looking at it too. Let me show you first these stats from what he did at Old Trafford. Versus Man United, he ranked first for all these different stats, different things that you can look on to measure a performance. He ranked first for all these things. He got the man of the match based on this data on Sky Sports. At Liverpool as well, we don't have his rankings in the game, but he was given man of the match because he won 100% of his aerial duels, because he had 55 touches, he 6 times won possession back, and you can see everything else, not once dribbled past against a frightening Liverpool attack that were in good form at the time. We kept them out to a 1-1 and he was brilliant defensively in that game as well. And then at the Etihad, where we've got a 0-0 against the treble winners, he put up these numbers first for all these different stats in an Arsenal shirt. Massive, successful passes, comfortable on the ball, the amount of touches, duel won, everything, relished the battle with Haaland. Gabriel got involved too, but William Saliba was immense. Now, why do I show you this? Because to establish whether William Saliba is world class or not, there is, I think, maybe certain things we can look at, like what would you be judging him on? So I've got a list here. To be world class, what does he need to do? Does he need to perform in big games? Well, I just showed you his stats at Old Trafford, Anfield and the Etihad. He performed in all 3 of those. And listen, he wasn't bad at Tottenham either. Was he bad at the Bridge? Gave away the handball. I thought it was unfortunate. He's been brilliant in all these big games. To perform against the best strikers, he has relished the battle with Erling Haaland, and quite frankly, is there a striker that has got the better of him? I mean, weirdly, it's in other games like Lens and Porto where I felt he looked a little bit more, I don't know, uncomfortable. I don't know, getting used to the Champions League. He has played in that before, I think. I might be wrong. So yeah, it's not really like the best strikers. Like the battle against Ollie Watkins, I know Watkins scored against us, but I never felt like Watkins had the better of Saliba in those battles. So the best strikers, he is doing really well in those battles, as he did against Harry Kane last season as well. So performing against the best strikers, performing in big games. Being consistent, this guy has started every single Premier League game for Arsenal this season, and he was starting every single game until a back injury. They kept him out for a while. He's come back this season. You'd wonder, is his back okay? You know, he missed quite a lot of last season. No, he's consistent, he's available, and he's bloody brilliant every time. Consistency is an absolute tick. So you can see my final thing there is win a trophy. He hasn't done that for Arsenal yet. How important is that? I think you can be world class without winning a trophy. West Ham fans were telling us Declan Rice was world class, and in fairness, he then won the Conference League. But before that, they were saying it, and for me, I agree with that statement. I think Declan Rice is world class. He's actually the one Arsenal player that I'm very happy to put there, no matter what. Like, no one, I'll die on that hill, right? Everyone else, I think I can have more debate around. But William Saliba is kind of the other one I always had there, kind of close to him, because he's a Rolls Royce of talent, because he can do so much as a player, because he's so complete in the way he plays the game, aerially, along the ground, slide tackles, getting in front of players, whatever it might be, he can do so much. But that winning a trophy, what I would say is if we win the Premier League, which in 6 days time we might find out if we will find out if we have, William Saliba, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, I think a lot of players become slightly undeniably world class. Like, I think Arsenal fans could say that with real chest, and it's more on others to convince us they're not. When they're Premier League winners, they played the level they have, 15 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat in 2024. These guys have stepped up when it matters most, in the crunch part of the season, in big games. We haven't lost a single game against one of the traditional big six this season. Yeah, I mean, you've just got to say that if we get the title over the line, it becomes slightly undeniable for certain players. But are there some that are playing to a level that you actually think it doesn't matter whether you win the Premier League or not? I'm happy to put you there. And William Saliba, I think, is in that category. I think he can do so much that other defenders don't. I mean, Van Dijk is like, he's been held as the standard bearer, right? For me, William Saliba has been, well, I think he's, in terms of his kind of build and his athleticism, physicality, for me, he's up there with Van Dijk. On the ball, Van Dijk is really clean on the ball, and his switch of play is special, but Saliba's by no means bad, and I think Saliba's a better dribbler out the back. I think if there's space to attack, he's got this kind of gazelle-like nature to just drive into space. He glides through, doesn't he? He looks so effortless. As someone as tall and as strong as he is, he just seems so effortless when it comes to carrying the ball into midfield. If you're talking about ability to do the last ditch, the deep defending like a Ruben Diaz, he's got that as well. So I think he's got so much to his game, William Saliba, that I think, yeah, put him in that category. When you look at this as well from Sky Sports, it just tells you that in 54 games, where both him and Gabriel have started, our win percentage is right up there, and it's great that we've had them fit and available for almost all this season, because they also concede per game 0.9 goals when both of them start. When you lose one of them, yeah, a little bit of a problem. But what I will say is we haven't seen that much of White coming in next to a Saliba. We did at the beginning of the season, or White next to Gabriel, and I actually think Arsenal would be okay if we had to, obviously we hope this never happens, but if Saliba was out for a little bit, White could slot in. And I think not. Is he as good a centre-back as Saliba? Probably not. But he's a very, very good player, White, who's been brilliant wherever you've asked him to play. So I think a lot of it is also down to Arsenal's structure and stability and how well coached. And I don't think Arteta, I don't think he goes... I don't think you have this conversation about Saliba and how good he is without mentioning Arteta and the system and everything else that plays a part. But William Saliba has been utterly immense since he has been a first-teamer at Arsenal. And I guess my final question in all this is, are we in danger of missing all of this? And that's why I asked the question about, is he world class? And some people in the comments will say, here we go, Arsenal fans going too far once again, here we go. Look, we've got to match week 38 with a chance of winning a title. Saliba's shown he can be consistent for Arsenal in 2 title runs, in 2 title races. I don't think it's ridiculous to ask the question when he's playing at the level he's playing at, and when Arsenal have the best defence in the league, and when he's just been utterly sublime on the eye. That will I don't need stats. You can all see on the eye how brilliant he is. But I remember Liverpool fans, right, when their players were really good, they put them up against every City player. Fabinho versus Rodri, Salah got in that team, Firmino versus Aguero or Gabby Jesus, and I don't know who else, Thiago versus Bernardo Silva, and Van Dijk versus Laporte, and there'd be loads of them, right? And I think a lot of neutrals would see City scooping up all these titles and go, come on, like, let's be fair here. You know, they're not as good as these City players, but maybe they were a fraction off, a percentage off, but they were competitive, they were there. And the point is, these Liverpool fans rode the wave for their players. They rode for their players, and it's just like, maybe we should be doing more of that. Maybe we're in danger of missing all this and missing the moment. Arteta's spoken about enjoying the journey, and maybe that's a part of it. We need to, in this moment, forget just, well, let's see where we are at the end of the season, then we'll evaluate. Maybe we just need to get our chests out and go, yeah, William Saliba, I don't care what happens, is world class, and he starts for anyone, and we're going to say it because we're going to appreciate him. I just feel after a game like the one he had at Old Trafford and the win we had, I think it's the time to at least ask the question and start championing our players, because they deserve it. They've been brilliant, they've been awesome, they've got us into match week 38 with a chance of winning the title, and I'm here to big them up. And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.